Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi. Welcome to Communications from Home. This is my weekly evening live stream. And so welcome, everybody. Today's Tuesday, March 9th. March 9th. Can you believe that? I got to do something with my screen here before I forget. Because I will. I'll get going and I'll forget. So welcome, everybody. So glad you're here with me this evening. It is a show that I think is going to be a very interesting topic because, I had lots of changes in my life, big ones, huge. And one of the things that I'm working on is recalibrating. And I wanted to include you in my journey. And so tonight's topic is one of the things that came to me in meditation. And meditation is one of the tools that I've been using for a really, really long time, decades. But it wasn't until my mom, who I used to take care of, when she was here, my meditation time dwindled and got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. The more assistance that she needed, right? And so last month, I restarted my meditation practice, and out of that practice, this one thing came through, and that was the word recalibrate. And so in that recalibration is this next piece of information that was given to me probably about was it 2 weeks ago, maybe, and that was to imagine if you believed that your soul was on the outside of you and not on the inside. I know it's kind of a shift in thought and belief. And they actually had me practice it in that meditation and what it would feel like. And I wasn't supposed to do anything more than just notice what it feels like and the difference between your conscious personality self when that is on the top layer, if you will, and then imagining your soul being on the top layer. And so anyway, I wanted to share that with you. And so that's what the conversation is about tonight. I did mention it in last week's show, and I'll be curious to see if any of our longtime listeners gave it a try and what they felt in that change of thought, change of belief. You could even possibly call it a shift in dimension, a shift in paradigm. Yay. So, okay. Here's a couple things that I need to let you know about before we really, really, really get started. And that is I may have to end the show a little bit early because I have two beings in my house right now who may need some assistance. I came home from visiting a dear friend of mine, and I knew Paul was going to start his preparing for his colonoscopy tomorrow, and so he is drinking that lovely drink called Go Lightly, and that is not fun. And so I told him to call me if he needs me. And when I got home, Georgie wasn't feeling good, and so I got to listen for him too. So I may have to end the show just a little bit early. I'm hoping not, because that means that everybody's okay. But just in case, okay, just in case, let's see who's in the house right away here. And this is Rochelle. Hello, Rochelle, grounded and shared. Thank you so much, Rochelle. I do appreciate it. And always letting us know that reminder, right, about being grounded, because it really is important, more important than ever, I would say. So thanks for that. Look who's here, Rob. I love 3 times as I can stack the deck. Yay! Yay, yay, yay. I love it, Rob. Thank you for being here. Rob has been producing my show for, it's been over a year, hasn't it? Something like that. And yeah, and so with all the changes that are occurring, one of the things I wanted to do is to simplify things and really get down to basics. And as you know, almost all the shows but this one are on hiatus right now here at Star Nations, and that's because taking care of somebody else does take a lot of energy, right? And keeping up with the show hosts. And so they're on break. And while I keep the home fires burning just a little bit, sun simmer, and so Rob is also on break. So I'm so glad you're here, Rob, knowing that you could be anywhere else, right? You're here with us. Jocelyn's here too. Hi, Jocelyn. It's always good to have you in the house. And look who else is here. Deb's here too. Deb, I think you and I are close in the same age, I think. Do you remember Romper Room? You remember when the teacher would get the magic mirror out and she would say, I see so and so and I see so and so? That's what this kind of reminds me of. But she never said I see Yvette. Because back then there weren't that many people with my first name. Cindy's here too. Yay, Cindy. Going to be in Toma. You are. When? Maybe we can get together for tea or something. Rob says, has anyone else noticed though Wilfred Brimley looks like Otto von Bismarck? No, I hadn't noticed. And Deanna says, good evening. Good evening to you too. So good to have you here, Deanna. And so one of the things about tonight's show is it's more, oops, I was checking to make sure the video is going. One of the things that I wanted to do tonight about this topic, I am my soul, right? Now, a lot of people here at Star Nations in the community, we range in quite the large range of experience, spiritual experience. Okay, so we go from somebody, and it doesn't matter chronological age. Someone who is just starting out consciously on their spiritual journey, right? And so they're the ones that are really looking for the information like a sponge, right? Because I was there at one time. I was there, and you're trying to get as much information as possible, learning, remembering, and taking it all in, taking classes upon classes, and talking and wanting to be in conversations where you can ask those deeper questions, right? Okay, so we start out there, and everybody to the other side of the continuum, for those of us that have been around the spiritual block for decades, okay? And everybody in between. And so we're pretty eclectic here too in our belief systems, and we kind of cover the gamut. All right. Okay. So when I say I am my soul, and you see it spelled capital I, capital AM, and then my soul, right? It's that I am statement. And many of you may have been in the chats with Constance Shearwater when she had her show with us, the mysteries of life, spiritual mysteries of life. And she talked a lot about the I am, okay? And fascinating conversations about it, right? So when I got this phrase in meditation, of course, one of the first people I thought about was Connie. And the I am presence, right? How many times have you heard that phrase? I am, the I am presence. And even Carl and Orton Franklin, they talk quite a bit about the I am. And so we've had lots of information about it, lots of it. This one is just a tad bit different. It's taking in all that we know about the I am, right? But it's adding this one piece onto it, and that is putting my soul on it in that phrase, so that we are being reminded that we're a soul first, right? And a spirit first. That when we talk about ourselves, that we should be talking about ourselves in that soul presence first, rather than our personality. But most of us were raised in cultures and society where your personality, your ego self, is the first layer, right? I know. I've been there too. I still am sometimes. And so here we are. making the shift in consciousness. And we've been talking and hearing about it for a long time. That shift in consciousness, that the age of Aquarius, correct? Yeah. But here, what this is all about, what I learned in both my meditation and from my mom in her last days that she was alive, is that we truly are a soul first. In those last days, those last hours, when I was sitting with her, one of the things that impressed me the most about her experience and watching, being her witness, is that at the very end of our lives, our physical lives, all the stuff that we usually are concerned about, worried about, thinking about constantly, all those worries about money and family and all those things that make us anxious, okay? That at the very end, none of that matters. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is the love and that you want to go home. She was saying that repeatedly up until probably the last 14 or so hours, maybe a little bit more than that, when she stopped talking. And she was telling me that she was tired and she just wanted to go home. Everybody is good. All my kids are good. All the babies are good. It's time for me to go home, right? And so in that, I learned that we really are a soul first. No matter what's going on out there and that craziness out there, what it really boils down to is our soul and how much we love, period. How much we love. Yeah. And so I know that's kind of, some people might think that that's kind of pink clouds and fluffy, but is it really? But is it really? A few days ago, I was listening to a YouTube with Esther Hicks. It's one of her most recent recordings with Abraham. And the message from Abraham was about being consciously aware of the energy fields that we have around us, that we attract to ourselves, right? That we create. Yeah, they were taught. They called them storylines. Storylines, and being aware, noticing what storyline are you involved in? What storyline are you playing in? And is it something that brings your frequency up, or is it something that pulls you down, right? And to be aware of it and to be consciously aware of it so that you can move where you're playing a different storyline. And at first I didn't quite understand it, and I was thinking, geez, I hope they give an example. And they kind of did. They were actually, without saying names and that kind of thing, right? They were saying about the storylines that we might be hearing on the news, on the television, the storylines that you might hear, at the grocery store and you hear somebody gossiping, right? Or maybe it's in your own family and there's family gossip going on. And so those storylines, we have a choice. We have a choice. And that's what they were talking about. Now, as I was listening, I was thinking, this is kind of what my team meant about being the soul on the outside. Because when our soul is leading us and we're bringing in information, all that energy coming through our soul first, filtering down to our conscious mind, right? So our soul, which is that part of us that is really vibrating already at the vibration of love and joy, um, it's it it's already filtering out where we play. If we allow it, if we allow Our mental mind allows it. So, and here's the other thing. See, I am a student of psychology. My undergrad degree is in psychology. My master's degree is in psychology and actually human behavior. And so I have this curiosity about it all the time, right? And here's something that I know about psychology and the study of it is that we as humans, we took apart what makes us, our psyche, what makes us, and we took it apart so we could study it and look at it 180 degrees, right? 360 degrees, twisting it. And what we did is we separated out ourselves. And that's how many of us still refer to ourselves as in those fragments of lower self or subconscious self, conscious self or adult self, superconscious or spirit self, your soul, right? And we think of those aspects that we can't see, that they're not even connected to it. They're out there somewhere, right? That they're not right here making us that whole being. Okay. So when you pull yourself together, literally, and you're thinking of yourself and knowing yourself as being this whole person, this whole human being, where you are not these bits and pieces, but your whole being, right? Okay. Now, take that whole being, and what you're doing is you're taking your true actual vibration, who you truly are, your soul, and you have it out here around you. And I was doing that driving home this afternoon, and it really does shift your consciousness. It really does. I found myself enjoying traffic. It's like, "Oh, did you see that car? You know, that's kinda cool." Or the clouds in the sky as we're sitting at a stoplight, you know? Things that we know that a lot of us maybe take a moment to look at. Some people call it mindfulness, right? Yeah. But it's interesting. And here's the reason why my team wants me to turn my attention to that and um, pay more attention to how am I experiencing? Am I experiencing my world, my life through my personality self or the whole being led by the soul, through my soul? So let's see what everybody else has to say about this. Let's see. Oh, Cindy's going to be in Toma tomorrow. Okay. PM me because Paul's got his doctor's appointment early in the morning. So tomorrow I'll be busy in the morning, but not in the afternoon. Hey, Susan's here too. Hi, Susan. Good to have you here. Deborah says, romper room. Yes, I was Belinda for a day. I think it was called. Oh my gosh. Rochelle says, Popeye the Sailor said, I am what I am. That's true. That's true. I remember that. Rob is saying, I am that I am, and that's all that I am. Exactly. If you're considering yourself as a whole being, right? A galactic being. And Cindy said, it's hard when you have that longing for home most of your life. Yes. Yes. And I have friends who feel that way. They feel like, they've shared with me that they've never really felt connected here. It's never really been their true home, that they can't wait to be able to go back home. Yeah. But I wonder, Cindy, if you were able to shift your beliefs, shift your awareness and your consciousness to being your soul, period, and that this physical and mental and emotional self here is experiencing the physical life so that our soul so that we experience that life, right? It really is a shift in consciousness. It really is. And so if we did that, if you were able to do that and really believe that you were a whole being, right? That your your longing for home isn't that far away. Because when our soul, our spirit self, dimensions are like walking into a next room. Everything is like right here. And so home is here. Home could be in your, another dimensional home could literally be right next door, right next to you. It's a fascinating and see here's the triple sag in me, right? Is that this is a philosophical discussion for some people. And I still enjoy that conversation because it's a deep conversation. It puts you in a position to wonder, could that be? Is that possible? And if it is possible, what would it feel like? Right? Yeah. But that's where you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. Rob is saying, I ain't got no home. I'm just a rambling man. Yeah, that Woody Guthrie, he was a singer, but didn't he write that too, Rob? I wonder. Jocelyn says something is always just out of reach, so the connection isn't complete. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, and I was having this conversation with somebody who's going to be coming to my house this weekend to finish up a class that we started, and last late summer, I think it was. Anyway, we were having this conversation, and um, she was saying that she had listened to one of the recent shows I did in February about the inner child, the trauma about watching your parent pass away, right? And we started talking about this, about feeling a void. Something's missing. Something's always missing. It's like you're always trying, just within reach of something that could possibly fill that void or that need, right? That want. Yeah. And so I mentioned to her about my meditation, and I said, I don't know. I can't say that it's going to be the answer for you, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility that what we need to do, I think, is to change some of our belief systems. But something that we probably have ingrained in us since we were little, um, that our soul is something that is that we can't touch it, we can't feel it, we can't see it. How do you know it's even there, right? And you add to it that we have many of us, probably all of us, if you believe in reincarnation, um, that we have a memory in our DNA of other lifetimes and what we learned in those lifetimes. And if you were ever um, a slave at all in any of your incarnations, that the owners of those slaves really believed that the slaves had no soul. So you add all that on top of it, right? So it's a wonder why we have a challenge in shifting that consciousness, because we have a lot of healing to do. That's why it's so important for us to do our emotional and mental trauma healing, so that we can work through those layers, and when it gets to this point of making that shift in consciousness, that we're able to actually, as Jocelyn put it, to be able to reach it, right? And I think we also have to be careful of the language that we use too. Because whenever we use the word trying, I'm trying to do this or I'm trying to do that, is that it's always ongoing. It's not attainable. It's not reachable because we're continually trying, right? And that's where we get into the proclamations kind of sentences. I am this or I am that, right? And that it's done. That it's present tense, and that's what you are, rather than this is what I'm trying to be. See the difference? Yeah. And I know we're human. And so sometimes, depending on what's going on in life, yeah, we slip. We revert back to old coping mechanisms. And sometimes those don't work anymore. Deanna says, I was introduced to wall projected constellations. The only homesick feeling I've ever experienced was the Sagittarius constellation. Really? Wow. That's something. We're going to have to talk more about that. I think that would be a really great conversation to have, the constellations. Yeah. Rob says, yes, it was. Yes, he did. Yeah, I kind of figured that. I'm very trying. Well, you can be. And Jocelyn says, yes, I see. Yeah, and I think that once you discern that for yourself, and you make that claim, that proclamation, that you've already made the shift because it's already in your awareness, in your consciousness. My next step, the next thing that my team wants me to do is is not just sit in the dark and say it to myself and out loud, but actually take it to the mirror, is to stand in front of the mirror and look myself in the eyes and say, I am my soul. And I haven't done that yet, but I plan on doing it hopefully this week yet. And to notice what it feels like. Is there any kind of differences in that, right? I've done that kind of mirror work before. Early in my studies and my healing work, and looking at myself in my eyes and telling myself that I loved me. I love you. And for a while, I couldn't do it. I couldn't look in my eyes to say it. And when I did, I'd start crying. And so it was a whole series of healing that took place in that. And that had to have been, I don't know, probably close to 30 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what that experience is like, to do that. That I am my soul. Yeah. Yeah. Now, here's another thing that that I was thinking about, connected to all of this. Yeah. Wait, Cindy is saying, probably Joe's class is all about healing. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Every second in her class is all about healing. And so it's good. It's a good thing that you're doing that. Yeah, Justin says she's going to try it. Good. Let me